April 9th transit meeting to order. Roll call. We have everyone here except for John. Minutes. Approval of minutes for March 12th.
For a minute.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Corrections? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Oh, he's in.
Okay, John's in. We got it. Any public comment? No, not for transit. Nothing for me. Staff reports on to Austin.
All right. This is so hard. Come here now, but agenda today, your ridership.
You want to see if John can share?
Oh, he's looking at the.
So actually screen I share.
Yes. I can't. I won't.
I just. The wrong one. That didn't work.
All right. Ridership financials on the route. And any questions? Doorstop and Red Cedar ridership in March decreased by 7 rides. Looking back versus April, February had 20 service days, 27 riders per day on average. March, 21 service days at 25 riders per day, down 5%. Looking where March stacked up versus the previous years, right in the middle to just under the median for Doorstop and Red Cedar. Community ridership. Ridership decreased from 2097 in February to 2027 March, down 4%. Looking at the ridership per day, we had 22 service days in February, 95 per day. And we had 26 service days in March at 78 per day, down about 18%. But looking at how March stacked up versus every previous year, almost a 500 rider jump versus any previous year of March for the month. And then looking at community Saturday ridership by itself, almost doubled its second best month of March ever for ridership. So great numbers on both those, especially community Saturday. In February as well, there's a February that we canceled a Saturday because of that Saturday snowstorm coming in. And if we wouldn't have canceled that Saturday, that ridership would be probably pretty top of the spectrum as well. But overall, great to see both of those. And we just look at, ridership as a whole on month to month. It's about as high as they come, just like February of last month. So these two outliers here are from Stout Overflow, 2020, 2019 for the most part. Stout route ridership decreased 16,873 in February to 9,800 in March. There's a whole week that Stout was gone in March for spring break, the third week in March. 20 service days in February at 843 a day, 16 service days in March at 16 a day, only down about 26%. Looking at the March as a whole, right in the middle of previous years. 2025 financials through 3 months. Pretty heavy front end loaded on repair and maintain. With us just having light on drivers here in some of these first couple months, our operations supervisor, John, was in a bus more than he was fixing stuff. So in that case, we send it into Northtown or Irvington, but a lot of things that, don't just go bad every month, like serpentine pulleys and brake jobs and stuff from brake leaks, one-off projects. Those kind of happen this spring. Paid for our annual contracts mostly up front here in January and February. Fuel is looking pretty good through 3 months, 20% used for the first 3 months through 1 quarter. So we're actually right on track for that. Liability insurance was paid mostly at the beginning of the year. And through that, we're through 1 quarter here and we're at about 73%. So just right under where we'd be. We want to be at about 25%. So looking pretty good. Staffing really drops off here in about 6 weeks. We start going out March 15th, March 17th, May. After finals week, that February. Okay, so to answer Randy's question from last month on what we can do and can't do in kind of one-off situations on, helping other nonprofit events and stuff like that. Public transit agencies are only allowed to provide charter service in limited circumstances. And then it defines what charter service is. Big thing here, if the county provides limited duration fixed routes open to the general public for which the customary fare fixed route fares are charged to individual passengers, this would be considered public transit, as it is not an exclusive service, does not charge a premium fare, and is not paid for or scheduled by a third party. So if we think of, a few months ago, we ran the community into the evening till 9 p.m. for election night. So it's one more thing we did for the community. We did the same community route, same community fare. We extended the hours to do that. Could run the same thing on Winter Days Parade night or something. Or Freedom Fest, that goes past Wakanda. Or the way this states it, we could make its own fixed route too for that specific day. For example, a Freedom Fest route that goes into Wakanda and comes back, or a Polar Plunge day shuttle for the same fare that we charge to the public. So with this verbiage and clarification, I think there are options. As long as it's not an increased fare and it's not paid for or scheduled by an organization. So that's kind of what we're limited to, but I do see some availability from this. So any questions on that? It was good getting that clarification from Woodstock because I wasn't positive as well. Okay. 2025 rule service. I put this into the annual presentation here in January to the county board. This was passed by the transportation committee in November for 2025. This is a rule service program that we are piloting for this year. There's 4 quadrants of Dunn County that's split by 25 and 94. And outside the bullseye, in the bullseye, that's what we can take care of with the doorstop service that we already provide to people. And we've been getting a lot of feedback to see how we can expand into the other parts of Dunn County, considering we're Dunn County Transit. So this is what we came up with. And it's a 1 day a month riders call from that quadrant. For example, the first Tuesday of the month would be 1. Second Tuesday would be 2, 3, and 4. And then they call the day before. We put the route together based on who's riding from what addresses. We get them between the hours of, let's just say 10 and 11 a.m. or 9 to 10 a.m. And we bring them into town. And then between the hours of 1 and 2, we take them home. And then they can use the in-town doorstop service or community bus when they're in town. Looking for a June 1st implementation on this. $15 would be the rate for the ride, and then ADRC at the start of this program will cover a portion, if not all of it, with ride vouchers. They get $6,000 a year to help individuals pay for volunteer rides, which that goes through Dunn County. And they haven't come close to that. Might even be a bigger budget than that, but they haven't come close to using their budget in about 5 years because we have one volunteer driver who has limited availability. So that's why we came up with this. So they're able to use some of that funding to help us offset the costs as well as the riders that are out in these areas. Then I Googled, how would you label a quadrant system? And my thought was 1, 2, 3, and 4, or starting 1, 2, 3, and 4 clockwise. Google said otherwise. So I wanted to bring it to the board. How would you label, this quadrant system?
Well, I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, or I would do one, like you said, going, or like.
Normal
clockwise,
clockwise,
yeah.
Yeah, I guess
I would not do it that way.
Okay, that's
being a math major, that,
Yeah.
I guess to me, that makes sense, because it's usually how
right. Like this, you're saying.
we do
Yeah.
that in mathematics. So, but it mean really, regardless, it could be whatever you want it to be. And I guess maybe even more so, I guess if it's all going to be happening on a regular basis,
Yeah.
it kind of doesn't matter what the impact is to communities, because it's not necessarily going to be a
Right.
big change.
Right.
And whatever order it is in, as long as it's just not changing.
In my field, that's all. The sections are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, basically that order, 1, 2. 1's always on this side.
Okay. Well, all right, we'll roll with this.
I don't think it makes any difference.
Okay.
Is EDRC
Yeah.
advertising this, or
We're,
are we?
we both will push it after I get out of the hospital and back in the office. I have a meeting with Bernie and the whole ADRC team, and we'll go heavy in May with this.
Okay.
Hopefully before May, but if not, about May 1st. Google traction has been real good through our transit advertising. So that's, I think, a lot more beneficial to people than for our clientele that we serve versus Facebook sort of thing. So then, at that time, we'll talk to some of these local municipalities and stuff too.
So June will be the first driving
Yes.
routes. Okay.
Yep. And again, there used to be fixed routes that would go into all of these quadrants and nobody rode it. And this is before my time, they were just burning money. Nobody calls, we don't go, no money spent. And I'm picking times that are slower in our schedule, that second bus can do that without, already on the road, driver's already there. Pretty low cost thing we can do.
And it'll be the same day of the week every time?
Yes.
Okay.
So usually Tuesdays are pretty slow for us
Okay.
because there's no dialysis in town. sort of thing. So then, first Tuesday, second Tuesday, third Tuesday, I think is a good way to go. You go heavy. And then if ridership increases, we can always add a second day, like first Tuesday and Thursday, we go to this one. But it's a good start, I think. We'll see. Things take time to blossom.
That's good. Good start.
501, ready for service, finally. That rear door wasn't working. I found a, $50 magnet on the door that wasn't connected. And then the lift wasn't saying that it was stowed, and it was a 12-inch harness up under the dash that needed to be replaced. So took a while, but we self-diagnosed it, and still like to get our logo up here. And the marquee is going, but it is mechanically ready for whenever the other one goes down but we've been having the transit bus on the route every day since almost the beginning of semester, other than maybe a couple cold days that we've had, just to keep everybody in the seeing the same bus on the road. And it's been great. I'll put this on the agenda for next month, but just to keep this on your radar. I talked to the Stout group last week or a couple weeks ago on this. They were all for this, just making this change where we bypass City Hall right after Dick's Fresh Market, go straight to Stepping Stones, go to CBTC, and come out and then come back to City Hall and then go to the library instead of Clock Tower and then go north. So keep that on your radar. And any questions?
Anybody? Is there any electric bus update or?
So, yes. To some extent.
Okay.
Bay Area Transit has asked 2 months in a row for an update. And the last update we got was in November. They asked in February. They said you haven't responded. Then they said you didn't respond in March, and nothing. So that's the update.
That's the update. Appreciate it.
But I mean, at some point, we can talk to Jim about this too. But at some point, a purchase order has to be null and void after half a decade of no progress.
Yeah.
So if that happens or something like that, I would love to use that down payment, 20% down payment money on a hybrid electric transit bus or something for the same price.
Right. Okay.
So we have options if this doesn't pan out. But
I just, somebody's asking me on my.
Yep.
I think the answer
Well,
is-
you know what I know.
Appreciate it. Anything else?
I just think it's nice getting to see the newer buses on the streets, and it feels more like a professional, might not be exactly the right word, but more professional bus service to have in our community, and extending that for the outreach to the county. So it's exciting.
Any other comment? Anything else? Otherwise, meeting's adjourned. Next meeting will be 15th, same place, same time. Everyone?
Thank you.
You gotta go left in order to get to the other.
I know.